Hello, and welcome to a new Vectortuts screencast. My name is Sean Hodge, and I'll be taking you through the tutorial how to create sheet rolls with custom spirals by Saurabh Sharma. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to make custom spirals without using the spiral tool to make rolls of paper. We'll manually create spirals with a uniform decay and then apply Illustrator's 3D tools to create rolls of paper. I'll be demonstrating these techniques in Illustrator CS4. For all of you Vector Plus members, be sure to download the tutorial by going to tutsplus.com. After you've reviewed the included files, we'll be ready to begin. And for those of you without Plus accounts, you're welcome to follow along as well. To begin, let's first take a look at what we'll be creating. It's these two sheets on the right here. These are just examples of what you could do on your own once you understand the basic steps involved. Now that we know what the final image is that we'll be creating, let's get to it. Open a new Illustrator document, and we're going to set up some preferences for the grid, which will make this easier to work with in this tutorial. Set the grid lines for every 5 pixels and a subdivision of 1. Go ahead and hit OK. So we went to Illustrator Preferences, Guides and Grid to do that. Then select View, make sure Snap to Grid is on, and also Show Grid. And then hold down Command and hit the plus key, say 3 times until you can see the grid kind of pop up here. Select the Ellipse tool by hitting L, and for the stroke, I want it to align to the inside. Actually, let's just create the ellipse first. We want to make an ellipse that's 30 pixels by 30 pixels. So just clicked on the canvas and hit OK. And now I want to make sure the stroke is aligned to the inside. So went to the Appearance panel, opened it up, and clicked the center button. Go ahead and select. You can see that select this ellipse. You can see the shape is 30 pixels by 30 pixels. Then hit Command C, Command B, which places it in back. Hold down Shift and Option, and just drag it to the next square. Because it's set up in 5 pixel increments, it's going to add 5 pixels to each side. Because we're constraining the size as we're making it bigger. So the first one was 30, this one's 40, and go ahead and copy, paste it back. It automatically selects it. Hold down Shift and Option. Do it one more time. And that just brought us up to, so it's 30, 40, 50. We're doing this 6 times, so just keep doing this process. Pasting it back. Holding Shift and Option, stretching it out. So that's 30, 40, 50, 60. And the next one is 70. And the last one is 80. So there's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each one is 10 pixels larger than the one inside of it. Go ahead and save the document. Go ahead and grab the scissors tool by hitting C on the keyboard. And then we're just selecting the points, all the horizontal points on the ellipses. Just doing this one at a time. And then go ahead and select the bottom half. Move it over. I'm removing the fill. So all we're left with here is a stroke. And let me see if I'm doing this right. Let me look at the... Looks like it goes the other way. Yeah, like that. Looks good. And then we're going to go ahead and delete this set of lines. So I've grabbed the direct selection tool. Well, also, because I've set up the guides the grid in such a way, I can just use the arrow keys to move these things around. They're going to line up perfectly, so I don't have to worry about that. This differs a little bit from the written tutorial. It's just another method of working. So once I've bumped it over 5 pixels, it all lines up. And now I'm using the direct selection tool, which you can grab by hitting A. And I'm grabbing the spiral that goes from the outside in, and then deleted it all, so that we're left with just this spiral shape. And what we want to do is, where these spirals meet, because they're separate shapes still, see if I select them individually, it doesn't grab the whole thing. So go ahead and select these, and hit Command J, which will bring up the join tool. Select smooth and hit OK. And just systematically go through, and we want to do that everywhere for this shape. And this is going to create our spiral with no decay, so it's equal spacing in between each of the curves. What the spiral tool doesn't do. That's the purpose of this. And I'm just double checking that it grabs the whole thing. Looks good. Go ahead and save the document. Go ahead and select, zoom in a little bit and select, actually I'm going to zoom back out a little bit to give room for the 3D to show, and select the spiral that you just created, and make sure that it has no fill and a stroke of white. Then with it selected, go to Effect, 3D, Extrude and Bevel. And I'm just opening up the tutorial, so you can experiment with these settings, but for the purposes of this screencast, I want to make sure that it's looking the same as what you see as an example in the tutorial. So what I'm doing is I'm just matching these settings to be the same as what was used in the tutorial. And if you're following along with the tutorial, we're on step 10. Yeah, the rest is just set at default. Go ahead and click OK. And here's what we come up with. You can hit L or just grab the ellipse tool. Click anywhere on the canvas, and we want to set up an ellipse with a width of 70 and a height of 70. Then hit OK. And go ahead and make sure there's no fill and that the stroke is set to an orange color. I'm going to make it a dark orange. Hit A to grab the direct selection tool. Then select the leftmost point and hit delete. We'll be left with a half circle. Then we'll go again to Effect, 3D, Extrude and Bevel. And again, I'm going to open up the tutorial. I'm going to go down to, there we are, to that step, which is step 13. I've got -11. You can just match what you're seeing there. Or as mentioned, just go ahead and experiment until you come up with something cool. And the rest is just set at default. Click OK. And in this case, I'm going to shrink it down just a tad. There we go. And go ahead and hit Command Save. If you want to see how it's looking so far, you can hit Save for web devices, and you can see how it looks. Right, now grab the pen tool by hitting P, and what we're going to do now is draw in a shadow. So click a point, then hold down Shift, click another point, We're going to match the angle here. Because this is behind it, it really doesn't matter too much where that goes, but it does affect the angle here. I was grabbing the direct selection tool and messing around with this a little bit. Now I'm giving it a light gray with the selection tool. Grabbing this trapezium, hitting Command X, Command B to place them back. Moving it down and over a little bit with the arrow tools. Go into Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and start with something a little high. See how that looks. That looks pretty good. Go ahead and save. And then if you want to, looks like I used something like 16. Let's take a look at it. 16, yeah, which looks pretty good. Tutorial, looks like it was 20 in the tutorial. Let's go ahead and set it at 20. Oh, that looks pretty good too. And then you can always check it, see how it exports. You can see the shadow. So if the light's coming from the right side, the shadow's falling over on the left. And that's where the light's hitting on the across the paper, rolled up paper as well. Let's move on to creating the next one. There's only 2 examples used in the tutorial, and we'll work on creating that now. I should have mentioned to save a copy, but basically we're just going to make the same circles that we did for the first shape are needed for the second shape. So I'm just creating those again real quick. One, two, three, four, 5, and then one more. And just to review, you hit Command C, Command B, hold down Option and Shift, and then drag it out. Moves it 5 points on each side, which makes it 10 pixels bigger than the shape inside. Now in this case, we want the shapes to kind of be spread out. So go ahead and do that. Give a little bit of space in between them to work with. Just checking how he cuts into these. So the first one gets cut here. Oops. And we're on step 20, by the way. I'm just using the direct selection tool to do this. Looks like I did something wrong here. Let's try it again. So hit the direct selection tool and we're just selecting the area that we're getting rid of. Then it's this one, yeah. And over here. Okay. Now I've got the rhythm of how it's moving in a counterclockwise fashion. There we go. This one's next. So if we follow the pattern, it should be that one. Let me just check. Yep, looks good. So all goes in counterclockwise fashion. It starts here, then it moves up here, and then it just keeps rotating around until it ends up here. Go ahead and save. Grab the selection tool. Make sure that the snap to grid is on because it's going to make this a lot easier. This is the main shape that everything's going to go within. Then just grab the next one in line and make sure that the open faces match up. And really it's this spot right here where it's going to join. Go ahead and hit A to grab the direct select tool, and then you're selecting that spot where it's going to join, and hit Command J and make it a smooth join. Hit OK, and then hit V to grab the selection tool, drag it down again. See how it's snapping to the grid as I move it. And I'm going to zoom in so I can grab it more easily. And again, I hit A to grab the direct selection tool, making sure I get just those overlapping endpoints. Hit Command J, select smooth, and hit OK. Hit V to grab the selection tool, which is the black arrow tool. And then we're making sure that these points match up. And we'll just do the same thing with the smooth join. Again, I'm matching it up. Having the grid set up this way makes it pretty easy to move these shapes and make sure they match up. Hit Command J. Make sure it's smooth. We got one more here. Okay, let's zoom out just a little bit. Make sure you save your document. I'm just grabbing the pen tool. You could use the line tool and then join it, but I think the pen tool will be easier here. What I do is I click on the N, zoom in a little bit. So I put a point over here, and then when I click on here, let's just do that again. Put a point off to the side. You can see that with the snap to grid on, it's going to automatically snap and be parallel, so you don't need to hold down shift. And you can see that there's a little circle that comes up once you get close to here. That means it's going to close. So you click on that, and it goes ahead and connects the shape. And then let's zoom out. Command the minus key a few times. Hit H to grab the hand tool. And go ahead and make this white. And much like the last time, we're going to apply extrude and bevel. And you can play around with the settings, but I'm going to go ahead and match it up to the tutorial, to the written tutorial. We're on step 29. And I'm just matching it up here. And we're going to add a second light. Go ahead and click here. And in this case, I'm just dragging these so they look like they do in the tutorial. But again, you can experiment with these, turn preview on, and see how it looks. And there we go. You can open it up again, experiment with it as much as you want. Add a shadow to it as well. Go ahead and save your document and try creating some of these shapes on your own. Saurabh has made a few additional ones you can see here. And then also just take a look, he's got a quick review that goes over what we did in the tutorial again and explains how to create uniform decay. Also, I recommend go ahead and make a couple with the spiral tool itself, just so you can see the difference in what a uniform and a non-uniform decay creates with the spiral tool and by doing it manually. And we're all set. Using the procedures shown in the tutorial, you can create a variety of spiral-based 3D objects. Have fun applying these techniques. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next Vectortuts screencast.